Hi, this is Corrine. I wanted to make this video to introduce myself. I've never had a YouTube channel before, although I have watched a lot of YouTube videos, particularly spiritual videos, ones dealing with highly sensitive persons, empaths, INFJs. I know mine is labeled INFJ Corrine. That's pretty much because I created the Google account just to comment on one particular YouTube channel that I thought was doing a really good job, and I wanted to just let that person know they were doing a good job. So that's how it started. And then I thought, well, I have this channel. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I figured I could just leave it blank. But then at the same time, as an INFJ, I have all these thoughts swirling in my head all the time. And in fact, I don't get a whole lot done sometimes because they're swirling so much and I'm thinking about them. And it would be great to have an outlet to just get those thoughts out there. And if my thoughts help one person, it's probably good. And if nobody watches it at all or listens to it, well, that's fine too. At least it's out of my head, and I can always go back and look at them if it helps me. So I figured it is whatever it is. Maybe it'll be a fun hobby. I've decided not to put my face on the YouTube because, first of all, I really hate being the center of attention. I don't particularly like the way I look, and I just don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about my thoughts. I want it to be about the ideas. I feel like I have this head full of ideas, and I think there's a lot of amazing people out there who have the same thing, particularly those who identify as INFJ and highly sensitive person and empaths. I think we have these really great ideas in our head, and I think it's so important that these ideas be shared, because it's very rare that I would listen to a YouTube video and not get something out of it. I mean, most of the time, if I listen to something on a spiritual side, I will hear something I haven't even thought of before, and that will add to my tools of just feeling more at peace and helping myself. I'll say a few things about myself. I am 47 years old. And the other thing I thought would be good to go out there is I've noticed that a lot of the YouTube channels are young people, which is great. There's a lot of people in their 20s out there doing this, and I think it's because probably they're more comfortable with the technology. But I have to say it's wonderful because I wish I had this kind of insight when I was in my 20s. I just think maybe there needs to be more representation of middle-aged and older people out there. It doesn't mean we have the answers, but at least we do have some life experience that it might be helpful to some people. Maybe we've spent more time thinking about it. But like I said, you can have an incredibly enlightened 20-year-old and an incredibly unenlightened 80-year-old. And I'm not saying I'm the judge of anybody who's enlightened or not enlightened, but I think there is a community of people who just really want to talk about these things that are put off by small talk, and just want to go deeper and want to really understand the mysteries of life and why they feel the way they do. And so I hope that it could have be some help in that sense. And I put as the representation on my channel as a snowflake, if you notice that. And there's a few reasons for that. First of all, I love winter. Winter is my absolute favorite season. It has been my entire life. I'm kind of one of those people who struggles through summer, especially if it's humid and buggy. But I adore winter. And I realize not everybody is like that. I realize there's a whole lot of summer lovers out there, and that is awesome. But for those people who just really come alive in winter, just know that I'm a kindred spirit in that. And then I also put it there because the snowflake, I just think, are amazing things. They're beautiful. They're individual. There's nothing like them. But then they come all together, and they become part of the whole, just part of this whole beautiful blanket covering the earth. And so that's sort of like humanity, I see it as. So, we're all part of the whole. We all need to work together. We all are, part of this universe. And every time you do something hurtful to another person, you're really doing that to yourself. But at the same time, we're all beautifully individual. We all have our unique qualities. None of us are the same, and there never will be another one of us that are the same. And so we should embrace that as well, especially as INFJs, because we're so, sometimes we don't know what our self is. Sometimes we so used to trying to fit in with other people, and we're so caught up in the ideas that we sort of forget who we are. And especially if you're dealing with codependency, and that's a whole nother thing. But we don't concentrate on it ourselves. And I do think we're all unique, and we all have beautiful qualities, and we should recognize and value those. And a little more background, I've probably been seeking, getting into spirituality and mysticism and philosophy probably since I was about 27 years old, so for about the last 20 years, I suppose. At that time, my late 20s, I went into just a deep clinical depression. It kind of let it go for a while until it got pretty bad. I was in a really difficult academic situation, really stressful, and not very happy. And so I didn't know what was wrong with me. My family didn't know what was wrong with me. And I had an aunt who referred me to the Course in Miracles, which is this really amazing positive psychology type of course with a religious or spiritual twist, if you want to call it that. It's basically finding a new perspective. The miracle is the new perspective. And it really did help me. And I went to a group, and it was really, really useful. And I don't necessarily, and it's certainly not the only thing out there. There's so many wonderful spiritual books and tools and ideas, and that's just one of them. And if it resonates with you, if you've enjoyed it, go back to it. I don't necessarily read it on a regular basis, but every now and then I'll pull it out and look at some of the concepts to find some answers if it's helpful. And what has really, I think, opened my mind recently is within the last year is when I, and by the way, I've read a lot of books. Sometimes I've gone through the entire spiritual shelf in my local library, reading, Eckhart Tolle and Thich Nhat Hanh and those sorts of things. And there's some really great stuff out there. But in the last year, what I was saying is that I had discovered HSP, or highly sensitive person, and Elaine Aron's book, and that really changed my life. That one was like, oh wow, so this is why I feel the way I do. And that sort of led me to the whole empath thing, because I think I'm probably a more sensitive, highly sensitive person. It seems like, I'm very I like to get away. I like to escape. As you can see, this is my backyard. This is where I spend a lot of time. I'm trying to escape from society and the world, just because I feel like it's so overwhelming. And the birds are awfully loud today. But And so that was really soothing, and I watched a lot of videos on that. And I noticed when I was reading a lot of things about HSP and empath that they kept talking about INFJ, and I didn't know what INFJ was. So I looked it up, and turns out it was the Myers-Briggs test. And so I took that, and I took probably about 6 different tests, just that were, the free ones online, just to see. And I think in about 5 times it came out as INFJ, and 1 time it came out as INFP. So maybe in some situations I'm close to INFP. I don't know. I think both INFPs and INFJs are very close together, in my opinion. But I definitely, I think, more resonate with the INFJ. So and the funny thing is, my closest friends, the ones I can really talk to, the ones I got really lucky when I went to college, because I got randomly placed with 2 other young women who are still my close friends and still happen to live close to me. And turns out one of them identifies as INFJ and the other as INFP, although I still kind of think she's an INFJ too. But in any case, I feel very blessed in that sense. In the other way, everyone else in my life, there might be some that may be, but, certainly my family of origin is not. And I've always had issues with them, the family I grew up with. So they think, I've always thought they thought I was crazy, and I thought they were crazy. So, but turns out they're probably just different personality types. And so that was actually really refreshing. That helped me out a lot, and at least it brought some peace to my mind. So anyway, I don't want this to go too long, but so I think we'll leave it there for now, and I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.